Cool. Well, thanks for having me. Like you said, my name is Danny Heath, and today we're gonna be talking about just good habits for better angling. And really, my whole goal with Project Hockey and my whole mission with hockey in general is just to leave this game better than I found it. Hockey's given me everything, which I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this love the game. And so it's how it paid for my college, how I met my wife, and we have two beautiful kids now. So I'm going to spend a good chunk of my life here giving back to the game in whichever way I can. And any decision I make in the game of hockey is just to simply leave this game better than we found it. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Arizona. My mom is Canadian. She's from Huntsville, Ontario. So there's a little Canadian in me. But played my youth hockey there, made my way to the USHL, where I played there for a couple seasons, and then played for Minnesota State University, which is a Division I program. We actually took second, lost in the national championship game this year, which was heartbreaking for me. But as soon as I was done playing college, because of injuries and concussions, I jumped out of playing and into coaching right away. And I've done everything from work with mites, wearing a costume, all the way up to helping guys make it to the National Hockey League and sign big contracts. And so excited to be here tonight. And if at any second you have a question, or if there's anything, feel free to jump in the chat or unmute yourself if that's available. And I'd be happy to answer that. And so tonight's all about angling, but this is really how I teach everything from, and I'll kind of walk through how I teach and develop hockey players. And it's nothing crazy, but when it's done correctly and it's done over and over and over again, it makes hockey players better. And so tonight we're going to talk about angling. So I'm briefly going to describe angling and show what it looks like at the very best and what it doesn't look like at the very worst. And then I'll go to how I develop that throughout an entire practice plan. So the first part, there's always three parts, right? The pre, the during, and the post of any type of skill. And so with angling, the first part here is you want to close the distance. And so right here, we got Erik Karlsson. What he does, this player here on the Sharks has the puck going down the wall. He closes that distance, right? That's the first step of angling, is get to that player. And it sounds basic, but for some reason we never teach this stuff, right? And so close that distance and then guide, right? Establish the angle with your stick. And so he does a good job of creating one opportunity for this player to go this way. And if he was to cut back, he's going to run into stick in his body. And then after he does that, you lock it in, and you have to honor that cutback, right? Because that's how you see those big TSN, ESPN turning points where the player cuts over your stick and goes and scores a goal. I think McDavid does it every other shift right now. And so that's the first piece, right? Get in there, get your stick out, close the gap, honor the cutback, right? He does not switch his stick until he is locked in there. The second part, the during, is attacking this player's triangle, right? So his stick, the ice, and his body make a triangle, and then getting his hips through his hands, right? Going right through the body. And so he skates right through there. So that's the second part, right? This is the during. And then the last part of this skill that we're going to progress through today is just the post. And it's establishing hip and shoulder position, and then separating the player from the puck, and then creating space so you can make that next play. A lot of times in hockey, coaches love buzzwords. And the way I teach is we eliminate these buzzwords. And so instead of saying, hey, you need to create space, and then, a kid comes off the bench or off the ice, hey, you should have created more space there. And the kid looks at you like, coach, I know what that means, but how do I do that? How do I create space? Angling is a way to create space for yourself, right? You lock that in, you skate through the hands, you get the puck, you give him a little bump, and now you have space. And so that's what Karlsson does a good job here. He creates space, and now he can make that next play. Watch it again. And sometimes this is all the space you need, right? Creates that play, moves it to the other side of the rink. They can then advance to the next part of the game. And then there's also angling where you don't actually have to go and hit somebody, and I call it bumps, right? So I got that from Coach Mike Hastings, who's the head coach of Minnesota State. You got to get your bumps, And then there are times when you can angle so well that you force that player to make a poor decision, and you don't have to make that hit, right, or that bump. And so if you watch here, you watch Hughes come into the screen here, the Leafs players coming up the boards. And then what he does is he does a good job putting his stick in there. He honors that cutback. This player then realizes that he doesn't have anything up here because he's going to run into a player. And so he, with this angling, without even hitting him, forces him to put that puck behind him. And then boom, now they're on the offense. Hughes goes in and makes a nice play, almost scores a goal. Right. So it doesn't always have to be the huge hit or no bump. Right. And so again, just quickly comes into the play. His stick does such a good job that this player realizes, okay, I don't have an opportunity up here. I got to make a play behind him, messes that up, turnover in the defensive zone, creates offense, pucks right on net, scoring chance for New Jersey. So now why we need good habits. This is the National Hockey League, the best league in the world. And if we watch this player here from Tampa, he's in a good position right now, right? The puck gets moved to this side of the ice. Now he has the opportunity to get his stick in this position and force his player to go up the wall, right? Where his players are all heading. He doesn't do his stick at all. He doesn't put his stick in a good position. He's just skating blindly, trying to go get this guy. He cuts back, didn't honor the cutback, plays made across the ice. And then eventually Oshie goes and scores a goal. And again, it all starts because of his habit, right? And obviously this player plays in the National Hockey League, so he's obviously a ball player, but just because he doesn't have that habit of putting his stick in a good position, then they're able to cut back and that play is made. And so what's said over and over again, especially when coaches are on the bench, have a good stick on the ice, but then in practice, we never teach that. And we never give opportunity to our players to rep that over and over and over again. So it becomes a habit, right? We talk about bad habits all the time. Oh, I got bad skating habits. So we work on skating all the time. Oh, you got bad fundamentals. We work on that all the time. But what about the fundamental of having our stick on the ice? Do you work on that? Do you rep it in small areas? Do you rep it in medium and large? And so that's what now I'm going to take you through of how I hammer home angling to all of our players. And this practice plan is rinsed and repeated with every skill in the book, right? Puck protection, skating, any type of skill out there. This is the blueprint that I use when I'm teaching good skills and development process. And so first I stimulate and create thinking. And I'm going to go through all this, but this is kind of the layout. Then I teach them so that they can use that to problem solve. Then we develop it from the ground up, right? We start with repping it foundationally. Then we move from small, medium to large parts of the ice to create those pillars. And then we put it into different types of games and situations. And that's when they execute the skill that we've been working on for that day. So stimulating their idea. And so for this day, we played bump out. And what we did was we forced the players to have their sticks. One kid started with his stick upside down, and there's multiple players throughout the blue line. And the goal is for this player is to knock. And here's what I'll say. Like when I had these videos professionally done, there's things I wanted to say or to show. And so if you're like, oh, that kid barely tried. Yes. Okay. But this is just a show for a presentation. And so what he does is a good job. But there's players all inside the neutral zone, and this player pushes this player out. And then you'll notice he flips his stick over. And now they're both got to go on the hunt and get every puck out of the neutral zone. Last player with their puck wins the game. And I don't say, hey, we're working on angling today. Hey, we're doing this. I put them in a situation to stimulate the idea. And so I'll watch this through. So he does a good job, pushes him out, flips his stick over. Now they're both on the hunt to go do this. And so without them even noticing, what are they doing? They're working on angling, right? They're working on getting their feet in a good position, putting their stick through bodies, just like right there, and getting pucks out of the ice. And so again, really just trying to stimulate the idea. And then what I do, and I'm probably the biggest geek in the world, is I bring a TV out on the ice with me, put it in the where the timekeeper is and the scoreboard controls are, and I push it up against the glass, and I go there and I show them what it looks like at the best level. So I'm able to, and I've got a cool way on my phone to connect my phone to the TV, and I'll show them this video. And so I'll literally go through what we just went through at the beginning, the pre, during, and post, and I'll show them what it looks like. And then the awesome part is, as we go through different drills, I'm able to film them, and then I can put that right on the TV and show them what they look like. Because a lot of times players are like, I'm doing it, coach, I'm doing it, right? My stick's in a good position. Then you show them, hey, you know, Tommy toe drag, your stick was way over here. You're saying it's here, but it's not. This is what the video shows, right? Video doesn't lie. And so I'm able to boom, show, and then I can put Carlson on the screen with them next to it. And it takes time, but that's what development is. It's not, hey, go to this station for 5 minutes. Okay, switch stations, go to the station, go to the station, and the kids take, you know, they're at each station for 5 minutes, 3 of it, they're trying to figure out what to do. Then they get 2 minutes of quality reps. Then they're moving on to a totally new skill. This way it's focused on what it is we're trying to develop. In this case, it's angling reps. And so what I had the players do here is they would pair up groups of 3, and all we're simply doing right now is repping having a good stick. And so this player skates through with a good stick, boom, stick through, makes a pass, puts his stick in a good position, skates through, and every kid on the ice is doing this, right? Groups of 3. Obviously these kids are sitting back there. Again, this is just for the sake of the video, but this is what we did. 5 to 10 minutes of it, of just back and forth, good stick, good stick, good stick, good stick. And so that way, when we're doing the drills, I don't have to lose my voice saying stick, 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 sticks, because we rep it and we put it in a good position, and we allow the players to develop good habits through this repetition. And then we get more reps, right? But now we just did it stationary, right? The players were standing still. Now we start to move up and down the ice, and we just rep it up and down the ice. Again, focusing on that good stick, adding in a little bit of bump through their body and creating that little bit of space. And so we just went up and down the ice. And again, these kids are going 50%. Even in a practice, I would still ask them like, hey, I want you at 75% right now, 100% effort, but 75% speed. And we just go up and down the ice. Boom, good stick, skate through. Next player goes. We do this over and over and over again, right? This to me is what skill development is. This is the idea of like taking a skill and developing it, right? Not putting 6 different skills in 6 different stations and kind of running around. And then after that, every opportunity, every drill, every warm-up drill, every flow drill that was ever created is another opportunity to develop skill. Someone said, how do you teach the footwork skating to activate the proper angles? Are you looking to ride edges, keep feet in control while moving? So yeah, so we really focused on the stick positioning today. And then the next one, we'd rinse and repeat this model with the skating portion of it. And I have a technique called surfing, where the players really ride their glide and they push with whatever foot, their outside foot, they're pushing with that foot and staying in a good position. And Carlson does a good job of that as well. But in this scenario, we just showed the stick. But the next practice would be, okay, now we're going to work with the foot placement. And so, and those can be interchangeable. It's probably better to do the skating first, right? Teach the skating, and then teach the skill. And so that's what I work with a power skating coach, Katie Joe, and we actually travel around and do different camps. I'd love to come up to your area, but she teaches the skating portion, and then I teach the skill portion, and then we mix them together and then create skills that way as well. But yes, we definitely teach more of a ride your glide and pushing with that outside foot just to eliminate crossovers. Crossovers are not bad, but yeah, we definitely teach that portion as well. But that skating is its own skill. So they should be taught separately and then put together. But then here, like I was saying, every warm-up drill, every flow drill is an opportunity to develop skill. And so this, we're just doing like four dots, neutral zone warm-up. But when this player makes this pass, instead of just saying, hey, go through the center, we have them skate through the players with a good stick, right? And so good stick, boom, good stick, puck goes off the wall, then they go down and shoot. And so what we did is we've created like a warm-up drill, taken a warm-up drill, and just made it purposeful. And you can do it with everything, right? You can do this with any skill. Okay, so then what we do is now we start to put it into small areas, right? And so now we just add a simple angling drill where we've taken everything we've worked on and we put it into a smaller area on the ice where they're just working on this angle, pushing through the body. Didn't do the best job there, but again, just trying to show the development process here. So then after we go small, so we always start in a small area, allowing the kids to make mistakes in tiny areas and repeat and keep getting better and better. Then we move it to a medium area, right? Which might be, in this case, we used one zone. Pass comes across, then they have to get a little bit longer of a skate before they make that angle. Boom. And then this player's just coming up and angling. So after he makes that pass across, got burnt there. After the pass is made across, I think it's here again. Pass gets made across, then you follow your pass, and now you get your stick in a good position, and you angle through, creating that proper angle. Then we go to large areas. So now we're using the entire ice. This is just a simple drill. One puck gets thrown, we're on the red line. If the puck gets thrown to your side, you go and skate and get it. If it doesn't get thrown to your side, like this player has to go and touch the blue line and then angle properly as best they can. So now we've just created a larger area, right? And so went from that small area to medium to large, and really just allowing the kids to get used to. It's like when you get a new fish and you keep it in the bag for a little bit, kind of get it used to the water, and then you finally let it out. That's kind of what we're doing here. And then eventually, we put it in situational opportunities for kids to use these skills. And the reason why we do this is because, here, I'll show the drill, then I'll chat about it. So an angle drill here, right? And the reason for this, got burned. The reason for this is because this player, it starts on this player, right? The offensive player starts a drill whenever they take off, which then puts this player in a different position every time that they have to angle. So sometimes, they're going to be ahead of this player and have to slow down and create a better angle, or they're going to be behind and have to speed up, or somewhere in the middle, and just really create more development there, more development opportunities for the kid to have to adjust on the fly, because everything's been so structured, right? We went from standing still to repping it up and down the ice to putting it into small to medium to large areas, and now it's really a free for all, right? And so just another type of situational, we just flip the borders, give the kids a different angle, a different look, have to come up. And this is the skating that we teach, is this leg pushes. So instead of getting those crossovers, we teach a surfing technique, which we did do before this. Now that this was, a little bit back, but we taught the skating before this, which is that surfing technique, to allow players to gain that ice. And then again, a situational here, it's just a puck battle. Each player has a puck, and then trying to knock the other player's puck out. If you knock the other players out, you're on offense. And then you come up past the blue line and attack the same zone you were just in, and the other player has to angle. So again, what's great about this drill is this player's puck eventually gets knocked out, and then this player goes and gets it. And what's great about stuff like this is because now the defensive player has to adjust their speed up, slow down, change their angle of attack so that they can get a better angle on the player every single time they go. And that allows the player to learn from his or her mistakes. It allows the player to adjust and make decisions on the fly. Boom. And then we toss it into games. And what I love about like small area games is like what we do is, so I'll show this game. So basically the puck gets dumped in. If it gets dumped into your side, you go and get it. If it doesn't get dumped into your side, you got to get there's another tire over here where the kid in blue has to skate around and then go and angle this player. And so he goes and angles him. It's just a one-on-one. And then they play it out one-on-one. But instead of like, if you score a goal, it's a goal. If you do an awesome angle, it's also a point. So if you angle someone really well, it's a point. And then if you angle someone really well and you score off that, it's 3 points. And so what we've done is, like, all practice, we've harped on angling. And too many times in practices, you work on something and then it's like, all right, 3-on-3 cross ice or nets back to back. And then we just kind of lose what we just worked on. Instead, reward what you've been working on all day inside that game with some type of compensation, right? And so now the player's like, oh, I got to go and angle this kid, steal the puck, score a goal, 3 points. Now their team's up, right? And so it's just a different way of getting kids to create more buy-in to whatever the skill is they're working on, and making sure we don't forget about it, because small area shouldn't be a time filler. Oh, last 20 minutes, small area ice. No. Last 20 minutes, time to really hone in on the development process and hone in on whatever skill it is you're working on and reward that inside the game. And so then we just did it. Same thing, 2-on-2. Puck hits them to your side. The other two have to go and angle. And so one guy takes him and the other guy takes them. And then it's just, they play it out 2-on-2. Again, just a good way to reward that angling and keep it at the forefront, even when you're playing small area games. And same thing here, we just did 3-on-3. And so it gets more packed, more people in there, having to make plays. And so that's kind of what that looks like. And again, we reward players for doing it. And so, there's just another great clip of Cale Makar doing a great job of putting his stick. He's over here. Rewind that. He's right here. Puck gets pushed to the outside. And the reason why, if you look at this game, it's 3-3. Cale Makar plays tons of minutes every night. It's late in the third period. His fundamentals that have been drilled into him from the day he was a peewee or squirt or whatever, whenever he learned to put his stick in a good position, are so ingrained in him that even when he's tired, I'm sure this is a late shift, he's on the penalty kill, boom, stick is in a good position, which forces that player to only have one option, which is to go up the boards, when I'm sure he really wants to get it back to his defenseman, set up the power play. And then Cale's able to, take that player out, separate the man from the puck, and then eventually kill off the rest of that time. But again, the reason why I'm showing this is simply it's late. And when it's late and you're tired, if you don't have proper fundamentals, if you don't have that ingrained into you, your coach can scream and scream and scream, but you're not going to do it because you're not listening, because you're gassed. And so this is just a perfect example of, hey, fundamentals are important. Cale's doing it here late in the game. And so he does a good job there. And again, just to kind of review that development process, stimulate ideas, get creative hockey players out there, teach them how to problem solve, actually show them the video, whether it's on an iPad, your phone right there with the kids, or, you can geek out like me and people make fun of me because I got bag of pucks in my left hand, hockey bag around my shoulder, and I'm carrying a TV in my right arm, and I'm making my way to the rink. And then develop from the ground up, right? Rep. It's okay. Like I always tell my kids, like my athletes, don't get bored, get better. You have all this time, rest of the day, to go and have a ton of fun. Right now, we're going to rep angling and we're going to rep stick position over and over and over again. And so that's kind of where we're at. But like I said, I'm in this to leave the game better than we found it. And if you do have any questions or anything like that, you can always, I can take questions right now. It's only 7:30. But absolutely reach out. My email is Danny@Project Hockey. So I've got something in the chat. What is the biggest error correction you typically see when teaching kids angling, and how do you overcome it? The biggest thing, honestly, is the stick positioning, and it's being too early to the angle. where kids just get there way too early, and then they don't know what to do because another player cuts back, and too many times coaches will say, hey, you're not allowed to cut back. We're not allowing that player to get better, right? If the kid's just always skating up the wall. And so we correct that with video and showing them. So I'll film them a couple times on my phone and say, hey, you're too far ahead, right? You're in a terrible position when you get to the angling, and then your stick doesn't even matter because you're way too far ahead. And so that's when we teach that surfing technique where you can control those edges a little bit more and just allow better timing. And so the biggest piece is the video, and then just allowing these kids to feel that, see that, and then try and do better at it. Good question though. Hopefully I answered it. Any other questions?
Yeah, you can throw those in the chat. We did, Danny, we did have a couple that came in a little earlier on. I'll try to go through some of these. And again, they were kind of before the presentation, so you may have touched on a few of them. But yeah, at what age would you introduce angling, and how would you do it?
Yeah, so those kids were Bantams, but I would introduce it. I would do the stimulating stuff, probably like mites, but I would introduce like proper stick positioning and even the skating portion for your higher end or older squirts. And the way I would do it is through the teaching, like the skating portion first. And I would have them angle like crazy and just do a lot of small area stuff without their sticks, where they just have to skate into good positions, push the kid to the wall, or push the coach to the wall. You can set it up really however you wanted. But from our squirts, we do a lot of the same stuff for our squirts, but we do it without sticks. So then they have to really focus on their skating and skating themselves in those proper angles. And then, eventually putting their sticks in their hands and saying, okay, having them figure out like, hey, if I'm in this position, where would I want my stick so they don't cut back on me and put me on a poster, right? And so then they're usually pretty good at, like, kids are pretty smart. They're usually pretty good at being, oh, right here. That way they can't do it. And they're like, won't that be tripping? And then we have that whole conversation, not if they step on your stick type of thing, and it depends on what ref you have, right? And if they have another kid on the team. No, I'm just kidding. But it's yeah, we usually teach it without sticks at squirt age, and then we introduce, if the kids are getting it right away, boom, we introduce the sticks. And then that peewee level is kind of when you really, really, really want to hit home on this skill in particular.
We may have to get you to clarify in the US, what are the age, like, what is the age group there for squirt?
Oh, sure. It's 10 and under. So U10, and then mites are U8, and then peewees are U12. So, and those kids that were on the screen were U14.
Okay. One of the other ones that came in here was how often would, and again, I guess we've got some time here if anybody else wants to throw some other questions in, but how often would you incorporate angling drills into your weekly plans at the U11 and U13 levels?
So as soon as I have a lot of skills that we teach with this process, right? And as soon as you hammer, so when we hammer home angling, it can be used in everyday practice, right? And so I would do that practice plan. It doesn't have to be those drills, but it has to be that setup where like you're standing still, repping it into moving small to medium to large area. But then it's always a touching point before, if the drill would require angling, or if the small area game would require angling, which hockey is a game of angles, so there's a good chance it's going to be there. I would incorporate it every chance I get. I would touch on it, but then I would review it. If that practice plan is heavy in battle drills or heavy in, one-on-one type situations, then I would review angling before I do that, either in the locker room on the video or, right when we get on the ice with a couple warm-up stuff. Like, so the warm-up drill, that the 4 dots would be a great opportunity to say, hey, let's put our stick in a good position. That way the kids are thinking about it. And so I would incorporate it every chance I get. I guess I think angling is up there with skating for me. And so obviously if you can't skate, you can't angle. So I put skating ahead of it, but it's definitely way up there on the depth chart.
Awesome. Okay, one more here. What advice would you give a player at the U15 level, where contact starts in the game? The player might be a strong angler but lacks the physical strength to separate the man from the puck.
Yeah,
What?
then well, I would that's Hughes, right? Like he's not the strongest guy in the National Hockey League, but the way he puts his stick forces players to make bad decisions. Did I cut you off? Was there more to that question?
No,
Sorry.
no.
And so I would just like so on the contact side, like always creating the contact versus like having the contact come to you, and accepting the contact. A lot of times, if you have the puck and you're going to get hit, a lot of times coaches teach you to hit into him, which is fine if you're bigger and stronger than this kid. But if not, you're going to hit into this kid and then you're going to hit back into the boards and you're going to smack your head on the boards and you get more concussions. But which is I always teach like, hey, just accept that contact. So then you ride into the boards with your body versus smacking into the boards. And then obviously the stick positioning is going to be huge for that player because if they're not physically capable to separate the player from the puck, then they're going to have that stick in a good position. And that Hughes one is a great example of just running opposing players into your own players. That way they have to turn the puck over and make a bad decision, and then you're going to get that puck back. And so I would just stress that stick positioning, and that's why I never call it hitting, like getting your bumps, and that's what we talk about is like, hey, just get your bump. It doesn't need to be this massive hit, right? We see for every massive hit, we see 50 other bumps out there, right? And so and hitting's great, it's part of the game, makes it exciting, but I think there's more to it, whether you're accepting it or again putting your stick in a good position to be able to set yourself up to get that team to turn the puck over.
Awesome. Well, I think right now that's about the extent of our questions. So unless anything else coming in.
We got something in the
Thank
chat.
you for coming in.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. No, that was great, Danny. Yeah, on behalf of Tim, the technical directors, the development teams that helped organize this was awesome. Thanks for taking the time here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I love talking hockey. So that's my email, danny@projecthockey.com. And we're always doing awesome stuff. And we always got really cool guests on our stuff where we're doing live Zooms with NHL hockey players and we invite everybody to it. So always reach out. And like I said, we've got tons of stuff we're doing. I'm going to Michigan in a couple weeks to that coaches conference to present on mastering the art of pulling pucks out of piles and reading stuff through traffic. And so hockey's awesome. It's the greatest sport in the world. And thank you for having me. And like I said, reach out with any questions and steal as many of the drills you want. It that's a big pet peeve of mine are these coaches that are trying to hide everything. I'll share whatever you want. So if there's more stuff you're interested in, if you're like, hey, how do you teach that, shoot me an email and I'll give you what I have, because it's when I'm 70 years old sitting on my couch, I want the NHL to be as good as it possibly can be so I can enjoy it. So I'll share and help as much as I can. So absolutely, thanks for having me.